The man's gay. And he's gay.
I'm gay.
She's gay. You're not gay!
In November of 1993, Fran Drescher took the zany antics of Lucille Ball and the sexy vamping of Mae West and combined them with her own original spin as a flashy girl from Flushing to create the Nanny. The character was bold and audacious and lived in a world where queer people were part of everyday life, at a time when most other sitcoms treated gay characters and stories as an awkward crisis or an opportunity for a very special episode. What was remarkable about The Nanny is how unremarkable queer characters were in the world that Drescher created. Hey friends, I'm Matt Baum. I make videos about queer pop culture, and this time we're taking a look at The Nanny and what made its treatment of gay characters and stories special at a time when US sitcoms were just starting to open their closet door. For example, take a look at this episode of Friends, where Ross and Rachel interview nannies. They meet a male nanny who's tender and emotional.
You understand how hard it's got to be to leave your child with another person. It's like leaving behind a piece of your heart.
And that's all it takes for Ross to respond with hostile suspicion.
Are you gay?
But now, take a look at how the nanny responds when she detects a male nanny in the next room.
I was instantly attracted to him, which means he's definitely unavailable. Plus, did you see that upper body? Trust me, he's either gay or a priest with a solar flex.
And instead of getting hostile and accusatory like Ross on Friends, to her, it's no big deal.
Niles, please, the man's gay.
Now, maybe it's just me, but these two clips feel very different. The dialogue's similar, the jokes are similar, and yet... But before we get into that, let's talk about what The Nanny is. And by the way, if you want to watch any of the shows that are featured in this video, I've got links in the description to where you can watch them streaming. And a link to my Patreon if you like these videos and you'd like to help me make more. So, The Nanny. Debuted in 1993, Fran Drescher plays a free-spirited nanny to the family of a rich Broadway producer with whom she has a will-they, won't-they romance despite being from different worlds. It's The Sound of Music meets Mame, set against the backdrop of musical theater. So I wonder if we'll encounter anything gay. From the very beginning, The Nanny included lots of little gay jokes and references, like this gag from episode 4.
Oh, I'm afraid I'm feeling a bit queer.
Don't ask, don't tell. But for God's sakes, come out of the closet.
On its own, that might seem like a cute little one-off joke, maybe even slightly progressive, that she would encourage someone to come out of the closet. But the joke's actually part of a pattern on The Nanny, a running theme across the series of gay people not being a big deal. In fact, they devoted a whole episode to that idea. Season 2, episode 19, A Fine Friendship. The episode starts at breakfast with another family's nanny, a man named Kurt, dropping off a kid for a playdate. Kurt is quite handsome, resplendent in denim, but Fran is nonchalant and doesn't even bother to flirt with him. Niles, the butler, is surprised that she didn't make a move.
The man's gay.
She says she can just tell, and then she proves it.
Kurt, who understudied Carol Channing and Dolly?
Joanne Worley.
Now, on one hand, it is perhaps a reductive stereotype to say that gay men are obsessed with musical theater. On the other, this line personally made me shriek because not only am I obsessed with musical theater, I'm obsessed with the famous Carol Channing-Joanne Worley rivalry of 1982 when they both played Dolly in 2 simultaneous productions at theaters just a few miles away from each other. But let's set that aside for the moment, if we must, because what makes this scene significant is just how insignificant Fran considers Kurt's sexual orientation. On most sitcoms up through the 90s, if a gay character or storyline appears, it tends to make things weird, awkward, and uncomfortable.
Oh, Suzanne, loosen up. It's the 90s.
Yeah, well, it's not the gay 90s.
There's nothing to be embarrassed about. Lots of people have homoerotic dreams.
Have you?
Are you kidding?
See, I'm even uncomfortable about being uncomfortable. That's how uncomfortable I am.
Frasier, I've come to tempt you. Really?
John is a ho-mo
Right.
sexual.
On a lot of 90s sitcoms, gay characters can't just be gay. They have to be the main complication of the week, the problem that needs to be resolved by the end of the episode. But not on The Nanny. Everyone's comfortable with Kurt, even the stuffy Mr. Sheffield, who doesn't mind if Kurt spends time in Fran's bedroom.
Oh, well, Miss Fine's a little different with Kurt. He's more like your friend Val, only with 5 o'clock shadow.
You've never seen Val at 5.
Fran's totally comfortable with having a gay friend, or at least that's what she thinks he is. Upstairs, she's trying on a dress that looks like a salute to glory holes, and Kurt starts to get flirty.
Kurt? Mm-hmm. What's tiramisu?
I had no idea.
Oh my God, you're not gay!
This joke did make me laugh, even though it's another one based on reductive stereotypes. Maybe I'm okay with it because I actually don't know what tiramisu is either. Am I maybe actually straight? Anyway, there's your Act 2 twist. What I love about this joke is that it's an inversion of the usual gay misunderstanding trope. A decade earlier, you might see characters freaking out about a gay person in their midst, like on The Golden Girls.
I'm quite fond of you.
I'm fond of you too.
But this episode of The Nanny flips it. Now the problem is that there's a straight guy there.
When did you find out you were straight? And does your mother know?
Not only that, but being mistaken for gay isn't a big deal for Kurt, as it might have been on other shows.
I've been outed! I wasn't even in! Now everyone's gonna think we're gay! Not that there's anything wrong with that! No, not at all.
But Kurt takes it in stride.
If you liked me when you thought I was gay, you're gonna love me now.
Anyway, like I was saying, it's a fun flip for surprise heterosexuality to be the problem rather than surprise homosexuality. In the end, Fran realizes that she liked Kurt better as a friend than as a boyfriend, and after one more date, that's the last we see of him. Almost. We'll come back to Kurt later. But this isn't the last time that comedy on The Nanny will involve gay characters or themes. Following this episode, the show kept it gay with the occasional joke.
What do you do if you have 4 queens?
Gather around the piano and sing songs from Gypsy.
Or even the occasional character.
I don't really know queens.
Oh, well, now you know one. Chance.
And sometimes even a storyline. Take a look at season 3's Oy Vey, You're Gay. Fran has realized that she loves Mr. Sheffield, so she's upset when he falls for a woman named Sydney. But it turns out Sydney isn't going to return his affection.
I'm gay.
You're gay? Oh, thank God!
That is the best response anyone could hope for when coming out, except for maybe this.
I'm gay!
He's gay.
He's gay!
He's gay. Did you hear the news? He's gay.
And even though Fran's saying that because she's relieved to not have a romantic rival, still, I wish that's how more people responded to a coming out in the 90s. And quick side note, this has echoes of the My Brother's Keeper episode of The Mary Tyler Moore Show, one of the few shows in the 70s where someone has a positive response to a gay character. In that episode, Phyllis is upset that her brother is spending time with Rhoda, whom Phyllis hates. Rhoda explains to Phyllis why there's actually nothing between them.
He's gay. He's what? I thought sure you knew, Phil. We're not getting married. Oh, Rhoda, I'm so relieved.
I've got a whole video about that episode, links to that and many of the other episodes I talk about in this video in the description. So now it's 20 years later and the Nanny is picking up on that Mary Tyler Moore hug and taking it a step further. Sydney asks Fran if she's gay too. Unlike how other shows might handle that question, Fran's not offended or even insulted. After she nonchalantly says no, she even seems to consider it for a moment.
Oh, great. A gorgeous professional finally asks me out, and it's a woman. You're not Jewish, are you?
1 year earlier, Friends had an entire episode where Chandler freaks out after being mistaken as gay.
Can you believe she actually thought that?
And 1 year later, Frasier had an episode where he's terrified he might be gay because he keeps having gay dreams, featuring the same actor who delivered the Queen's joke on The Nanny.
Well, look who's up.
Now, it's one thing for The Nanny to be okay with having gay characters, but for Fran to be so unconcerned to be mistaken for gay is truly groundbreaking. In the 70s, a similar mistake on WKRP in Cincinnati makes a character threaten to jump off a building. In the 80s, it throws a character into a fury.
You mean you're...
Aren't you?
Well, what do you think?
But on The Nanny, she seems open to it. I can't think of any previous sitcom where someone responds as well as Fran does here. Let me know in the comments if there's any I'm just not thinking of. It's a pretty powerful moment, showing that where Fran is concerned, there's nothing insulting or troubling or in any way wrong with being queer. But there's one scene from The Nanny that's even more powerful, and that's in the season 3 episode Val's Apartment, which has one of the weirdest crossovers I've ever seen. In that episode, Fran and her friend Val move into an apartment together across the street from a bar full of handsome single men that they're hoping to date. Can you guess what the surprise twist is going to be? And we'll get to that in a moment, but first, we need to meet their new landlord.
Boy, I'd like to see the moron that talked you into this dump. Hello?
Who's this? Now, take a look at the apartment. This character, how he's dressed, what he sounds like. Does it ring any bells?
And there is no reason on earth why Prince Charming cannot walk through our front door.
Hello!
It's Squiggy from Laverne and Shirley, a sitcom that debuted 17 years earlier in 1978. Squiggy and Leonard were Laverne and Shirley's goofy upstairs neighbors. Now, set aside the fact that Laverne and Shirley was set in Milwaukee and the nanny is in New York, it's TV magic. The landlord is clearly Squiggy, and he's still friends with Leonard. More than friends, in fact.
I share the landlording responsibilities with my significant other, Leonard. Why, we've been together now for, 17 years. 17 years, and still no children. But we keep trying.
I am very impressed that they were able to get away with a joke that dirty on CBS. And I'm delighted that The Nanny took an old sitcom that had been off the air for over a decade and retroactively made two of the characters lovers. The power that has. Once again, The Nanny is unique here in that gay characters aren't a problem. Yes, Fran is annoyed because she was hoping to pick up some dates, and now that seems like a lost cause.
There's gotta be at least a couple of guys here who will be interested in us. Clang, clang, clang with the drum.
But the problem of the episode isn't the gays, it's Fran's love life that's the crisis. Compare that to this episode of Maude, where the existence of a gay bar causes an uproar.
But you see, gay people shouldn't be out at a bar having a good time. They should be at home, alone. Being ashamed that they're gay.
18 years later, and the gays down the street aren't embarrassing or undesirable. They're just neighbors. Another thing that sets The Nanny apart here is that it's a world where gay people aren't just sassy friends. They actually have relationships. Squiggy and Leonard are celebrating their 17th anniversary.
17 is meet.
And on another episode, Fran meets a recently widowed gay man, and the show acknowledges that some people aren't so accepting of their relationship.
Now he's gone, and his family, they pretend like I never existed.
Look at Fran's reaction there. She's shocked that the family wasn't more accepting. Maybe she gets that from her mother.
And he's gay.
So you're seeing him again?
How desperate do you think I am? Friday, we're gonna see Showboat.
It's just really sweet that even older generations are totally fine with gay characters. This is just how the world created by Fran Drescher works, throughout the run of The Nanny, from beginning to end, and even after. You see, The Nanny wrapped up in 1999, and in the years that followed, Fran's marriage to her husband ended too. He was an integral part of the show. You can see his name there in the credits, Peter Mark Jacobson, and the two of them met in high school, married young. Stop me if you know where this is going. He came out as gay in the early 2000s. But just as Fran the character took homosexuality in stride, Fran in real life was pretty accepting too. They remained close, and they even continued to work together. In 2011, they even developed a show together called Happily Divorced, in which Fran plays a woman whose husband Peter comes out as gay but remains close.
You know, Petey, nobody's life is perfect, but ours is pretty good.
And by the way, one of the guest stars who pops up on Happily Divorced is played by the same actor who played Kurt. This time he plays a jerk who cheats on his wife, so I guess Fran dodged a bullet on that one. Aside from her TV shows, in real life Fran Drescher has supported GLAAD Spirit Day, she supported inclusive scouting, she put her money where her mouth is and raised money to overturn Prop 8. When New York was debating a marriage equality bill, she made ads supporting its passage.
Join me. Be a New Yorker who supports marriage equality.
And after New York passed the bill, she conducted gay weddings.
I now pronounce you husband and husband.
And here's the amazing thing, she's still going. Last year, during a pandemic, Fran dropped everything and went to Canada to film Lifetime's first gay holiday movie, The Christmas Setup, where she plays a mom who sets up her son with his childhood crush.
I don't need you meddling in my social life.
Oh, hi, Patrick.
Fate that we cross paths. Fate or Kate?
I'll just leave you two boys to it.
And viewers, I've watched a lot of gay movies. Some of them just kind of blur together for me, but just the trailer for this one made me sit up and get misty-eyed. How come? Well, let Fran explain.
What I love about this movie is that it doesn't have any angst. It's not about, the hardship of coming out or rejecting parents. It's none of that. I have a son that happens to be gay who I love, dearly, and my setups end up being much more successful than any matchmaking I've ever done.
No angst, no hardship, no rejection. The son's not a sassy side character, he's not a problem, he's a person. And he gets to have the sweet, schmaltzy story about falling in love. It took until 2020 for both Lifetime and Hallmark to start making holiday movies with same-sex couples as the main characters. 2020. Meanwhile, Fran Drescher's just been casually including queer characters her whole career, even back when it would have been far easier to treat them like the crisis of the week. But of course, that's no surprise. Fran's always been a trendsetter. By the way, there are more great queer moments from The Nanny, and there's also a fantastic story about the lucky series of coincidences that led to the show getting made in the first place. For those, check out my Patreon. I'm going to be posting more clips that I just didn't have room for in this video, and sign up for my mailing list at mattbaum.com for some sneak peeks at what I'm working on next. Also, please, I'm begging you, let me know in the comments what tiramisu is. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got this weird taste in my mouth.
See your mouth